And now let's talk about the first of 3 injury reports, Sarah, that dropped on Thursday afternoon. And for a 5th straight week, Lamar was, I guess, not at one practice. We don't know if he's going to be at multiple. I was going to say at least one because we don't know the week's over yet. But the hope is the trend will continue in terms of one practice being missed.
I feel fairly confident he'll be back later today.
Hopefully, because when I say 5 straight weeks, right?
Yeah.
When I say 5 straight weeks, which dates back to the Vikings week, it's been one practice each week that he's missed for an ailment. The only thing that changed this week is that it was not ailment related. This was not a physical setback, at least based on the injury reports labeling. It is NIR, non-injury related. You see the rest of this group as well. I'll rip that off real quick before we get into the Lamar topic as a whole. Cheeto popped up with a shoulder. He was a DNP. Keaton Mitchell, who John Harbaugh said was day-to-day on Monday with that knee, he was limited. Tavius Robinson sure sounds like a guy that is going to play. We'll have some sound on him coming up later on. That foot has kept him down for multiple months. He was limited. Ardarius Washington, another full participation day for him with that Achilles. And Nate Wiggins, who left, at halftime Thanksgiving night and then played Steelers week, he was limited with a foot. Let's get to Lamar. It's a 5th straight week, Sarah, and everybody's talking about this new practice routine. Is it a new normal for him to be missing key days like install days where it's heavy game planning, it's heavy strategizing? Now, at the same time, this is year 3 with Lamar and Monken, so you want to give him that level of trust. Or if John Harbaugh, for his words on Monday, you want to respect the player from a judgment perspective, but you also hear the Lewises as well. It's tough on a week that you got to have. This is a got to have it game yet again, and no practice for Lamar to begin the week.
Yeah, this is interesting. So there are definitely positions where you see a lot of guys take veteran rest days. Ronnie Stanley gets them. TJ Watt gets them. We just talked about TJ. Prayers up to him, by the way. They're like veteran rest days are normal, but they're not as normal for quarterbacks. And we've been talking about, obviously Lamar's not playing at a super high level since he injured his hamstring. He was before that. I mean, he led the league in touchdown passes before he was injured, led the league in quarterback rating, all of that. And so the reason why it's less normal for a quarterback to not take rest days is because there's a ripple effect. Obviously, especially on offense, the quarterback is the sun, which creates the gravitational pull, and planets rotate around it, And so for a quarterback to miss, it's not just that he's missing his own practice, but it kind of like makes things a little bit less efficient across the offense. And so it hasn't been surprising that he would need to miss practice when he had those ailments. This time around, it's just rest. And by the way, Lamar Jackson indicated last week, remember he got his foot stepped on? He said he was going to take a rest day anyway last week. So this sounds like this would have been implemented last week had his foot not been stepped on. So John Harbaugh was asked about this Monday. You kind of alluded to it, but I want to read his full answer.
I got it right here if you want it.
You have the audio?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, let's play it then.
Yeah, let's let it rip.
So, you want to have everybody practicing every day. I mean, it's your goal, as a coach. But it's a long season, man. I mean, these guys go through a lot. Lamar, much as anybody, he's got the ball in his hand every play. He's making plays. He's doing what he does. He's competing like crazy. So there's going to be times where he's just not going to be up for practice. It's just not going to be the best way to go about doing it. And that's a conversation between, Lamar, the trainers. We're involved in that to some degree. But, what's best for him to be ready to play his best on Sunday. That's really what matters. And so, sure, you'd rather have everybody practicing all the time. But if it's not the best thing to practice because you want to get your body right, that's definitely got to, I think you have to respect that as a coach. I know you have to respect that as a coach. So I respect Lamar and his judgment, and I thought he played very well. I thought he played very well in the game.
And Sarah, one more viewpoint too, if we could. Matt Ryan talked about this on Sunday on CBS. Eric Weddle also spoke about it. Let's share Matt's comments first, then we'll go back to us and then Weddle in just a second here. Here's Matt Ryan from Sunday.
Have been a struggle.
Yeah.
They have been a struggle for Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
Part of that is due to injury.
Yeah.
Part of that, I think, it's not even the injury that's affecting him on the field. I think the limitations of not being able to practice during the week. You're seeing that show up with inconsistencies in the passing game.
Yeah.
And you need those reps, no matter how good you are. And Lamar, we are all huge fans of Lamar and just marvel at his ability to make plays. His explosiveness does not look the same as usual, but I also think the passing, which he has made great strides of in his career, the efficiency, the accuracy, it just has not been there. And I think that's part and parcel because you're not practicing. You got to go out there and you got to do it. You got to be on the same page with the guys that you have.
He wasn't mobile, but one former quarterback's perspective there from earlier on in the weekend. That was actually on Sunday after the game, I believe.
You saw Coach Cowher there when Matt Ryan was talking. Coach Cowher was like, yep. Like that's huge. And so John Harbaugh's audio there, indicated this is Lamar Jackson's decision. He's saying, I trust Lamar's judgment. And so at the end of the day, you kind of have to balance out getting your body right. And so because there's no injury designation, that's what like makes this kind of like, so are you injured? But then Harb's saying you got to get your body right. And so it is a little bit of both though, because people are having rest days to get their bodies right. So I don't really know, like that's everybody, right? When Ronnie takes a Friday off, he's doing it to get his body right, to have him have the proper rest. Like literally, like the rest helps get your body right. And so at the end of the day, John Harbaugh is saying, I trust Lamar Jackson's judgment. That's what all of us have to do. But it is going to put more pressure on his teammates and Lamar to get that chemistry right. And that's why, like snap counts or like a 2-minute drill or things like that, I trust Lamar in being able to be like, hey, I know the plays, I know this and that, but the chemistry and the install and all that kind of stuff, like, of course, how could it not have some sort of impact? And maybe they can all overcome it by doing different things, but it's going to have an impact.
We had a chance to catch up with Eric Weddle, as I know you know, the other night on the Collective, and Jeff booked him. And while he wasn't a quarterback, he played safety. He wasn't a quarterback, but he really emphasized the importance of practice for him personally in terms of how he was able to go out and have the polish and the success on game day. Listen to Eric from Tuesday.
And he's a quarterback's coach, correct?
And now his son is a two-way player, going to be a prospect. Let's just put it this way. Weddle's son, Gage, Leinert's son. There's a few others that are out there. Crazy enough that all these guys that we grew up watching that now have sons that are getting ready to play in college, they're going to be among some of the top recruits in the country at the collegiate level. And I believe Gage is going to be one of them. So yes, he is he himself said, you're about to hear it, Eric is not a quarterback's guru. It's a position that he studies, works with, and is entrenched in now as he gets his coaching career started. And oh, by the way, I confirmed with him at the very tail end of the interview that the Ravens have called him about a secondary position from a coaching perspective. Mm-hmm. And he's gotten, every year he's been out of the league, he says he's gotten at least one call for that. So do not be surprised if at some point Eric Weddle is a part of the staff in Baltimore. But anyway, here he is.
Man, he should be a 3-time MVP, and it shouldn't even have. I mean, it was, I don't even know, like the most ridiculous thing ever last year that he wasn't an MVP. And I think when he just had greatness year in, year out, he kind of like, they just found a reason not to give it to him. So do I see his ascension? Man, like what he did last year from the quarterback position, I really felt like he had taken that next step of really killing people with his mind and his arm and not relying so much with his legs. And I felt like that was really the next step in his progression of being that year in and year out. And then this year, I think like he's regressed a little bit from, I coach the quarterbacks, so I study a lot of quarterbacks, and I'm not saying I'm a quarterback guru, like I'm not saying that, but there are some fundamental things that I see that I watch them that just aren't in line with consistent quarterback play, and it can easily be fixed, and it's mostly like footwork and just eyes and fundamentals of just everything in sync as a quarterback needs to be on par when you're making throws and you're being consistent and getting completions. Like, completions are everything for a quarterback. And I try to say that to Gage as he's playing quarterback and just trying to, reiterate those fundamental type things. And so I just think like it's just a little bit off with his footwork, and when he backtracks into the pocket at times, trying to escape, where if he climbed the pocket and just stay where you are and get the ball out. But those things that he's done, and he's done it at a high level, and he's done it better than anybody. So I know like he can. I just think like, just as the team, like something's a little off, and he can easily correct those things and get us back to playing at a high level and winning games.
That's a snippet from our Tuesday night conversation on The Collective. I encourage you guys to go check that out in full. Eric was really insightful, as he was there, Sarah, kind of highlighting some of the mechanical flaws that have popped up with Lamar over the last month or so.
Yeah, and I do suspect, I mean, obviously that was given before this practice report came out. I mean, I suspect, he has been dealing with injuries. I'm sure that impacts his mechanics also. He used that word regressed again. We won't get into that. I didn't like it yesterday, and I know Femi Ayandejo didn't like it. To me, it's like, well, he's injured. And so listen, at the end of the day, like it's what John said. You kind of have to trust Lamar that he knows his body and that he feels like he will be his best self. He will bring his best self to the game if he's able to get some of these rest days in. Maybe these injuries are not like at the level of what they were to be on the injury report again, but he's still recovering from everything. And last week he did look much better, and he had planned to have a rest day. So was the Lamar we saw against the Steelers way more effective than the Lamar we've seen the previous weeks? Yes. And so the next step though is to get back what Eric is talking about. Let's get the consistency down. Let's get all that. And like I said, it's going to impact the chemistry for sure. And it's going to be up to Lamar and his teammates to overcome that missed day of practice. Now, while I think it's fair to talk about ask what the impact will be, I'm not on board where first thing first kind of took things. And of course it's Nick Wright, where I feel like he is reading too much into Lamar taking rest days. Here's what they had to say. I hope I have this queued up right.
Odd situation.
Can I say something, Brew, that I think you might agree with me on?
Yeah.
I have no evidence of this. It's just what I believe. And I think I have a lot of circumstantial evidence. I think Lamar's ready for a reset. I think
Coach, not team.
Yeah, not for him. Not that he wants to go somewhere.
Right.
I think that Lamar has given us a bunch of signals this year, and he very well might be right, that, yeah, I think this iteration of the Ravens has run its course. And I think him, after that game in this position, not putting in a full week of practice is actually stunning. And the coach, and it being called a rest, they could call it, he's been dealing with injuries. They could easily be like toe out. The fact that they are making it known, no, he's healthy enough to practice, we're giving him a day to rest. The coach is saying, you got to trust the player. Meanwhile, the player's playing the worst football of his life. The coach is on the hot seat. The division is being frittered away, and Lamar is not practicing.
And you already lost to this team.
He's taking the day, and to Coach's point, he knows everyone's work day is now less effective because I'm taking the day.
Now the only other thing I'll add, the flip side of this is if the alternative is he practices every day, but he may or may not play. Like if this is the only way that he can get to Sunday, then he just got to suffer through it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Bobby, listen, what's interesting is like, I actually think that the Ravens may need a reset. I've been saying since before the season started, I've said Super Bowl or bust for me. And if you can't get to the Super Bowl, maybe the duo of John Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson isn't working. And so I suggested if that's the case, John could get a job anywhere in the NFL, anywhere in college, anywhere he wanted to. I think he's a great coach. I think he's a future Hall of Fame coach, but the duo hasn't seemed to work so far. So when he talks about a potential reset with Lamar and his coaching, I'm like, that's not a terrible take. That being said, that he's using this rest day as a signal that Lamar's done, with his coach or with the, like, do you know what I mean? Like, no, I'm not buying that. He's been injured for so long. He's coming out of that. And I'm glad that Coach Mangini kind of pushed back. And he's like, well, the flip side of that isn't that he's really like sending a message about coaching and this and that, because this would be the terrible time to do that. He could just, once the season's over, he could give Steve Bisciotti a call. It's that easy. He wouldn't torpedo himself and his team and say, no, well, now I'm not going to practice every week, just as a signal. I don't see that. I don't see that at all. I'm glad Coach Mangini was like, well, the flip side is if Lamar is saying you'll get the best version of me if I can get another day of rest, then you have to do that. And I think that's what's going on. And once again, I feel like, just things are just read into way too much. Just take it for what it's worth. Lamar's asking for more rest. It's been a rough season. Give him a day of rest so that he can feel like his best self on Sunday.
And that's the complicated part, because what he's doing isn't working so far.
Well,
right?
He's been injured.
Well, I'm saying the rest day. So first of all, he hasn't been injured enough not to play. Clearly, we know that he's been plagued physically for weeks now, if not months, dating all the way back to, gosh, you can go back to Femi a couple months ago when he threw out the theory there that happened week 1 against Buffalo. But for what we know is true, is the end of September in Kansas City. So that's what? That'll be 3 months at the end of this month. So call it 2.5 months where he's been banged up. So I'm not doubting that at all. We've all seen it phically. We've all seen the hits.
It
We've all
hasn't been
seen
working. Like you saw him against the Jets. We saw how physically set back he was. We could all see he's injured. So when you say it's not working, like this is the first week that we're going to see it where he takes a day off and he's not listed with an injury. So when you say it's not working, but he has had injuries. So you're conflating the two. I'm
saying that the either the rest or the missed practice, which has gone now 5 weeks, that routine, this new normal, if it is normal, is obviously not working on game day.
How can you divorce the two? This is you said it at the top of the segment. This is the first time he's taking a rest day and doesn't have an injury designation. And now all of a sudden you want to conflate the two and say it's not working.
Well, sir, you don't.
He looks night and day difference against the Steelers than he did, say, against the Jets.
But sir, you don't think that there could very well have easily been one of those 4 or 5 ailments that have popped up over the last month? Could have easily been on there. I'm sure if he's still injured, then you could have picked either one of those.
Yes.
Any one of those, knee, hamstring, ankle, toe, whatever it is, to be up there in place of NIR.
But you're conflating the two, though. This is the first week that they're saying there's no ailment. And you're saying, well, it hasn't worked before. Well, he's been injured before, and we could see it with our own eyes. And now we're going to pretend that wasn't there?
He's played every single week
with
now
an
for 5
injury.
weeks.
With an injury. This is the first week where there is no injury designation.
But
why are you pretending there was no injury there suddenly?
What do you mean? I'm not pretending anything. I'm just
noting.
You
are, because you're like, oh, he wasn't there. Yeah, because he had an injury. This week is the first time there's no injury designation.
So we think all of a sudden he's
it's not working. Well, how do we know it's not working? It's the first time he was injured.
Sarah, he still is injured. Do we believe that? Yes.
They have him designated as a rest day. I'm sure his body isn't 100%, but there's obviously levels to this. So for you, you're just assuming like he for sure is still injured to the point that he should have an injury designation.
I think he's still banged up. Yes.
Everybody's banged up, but not everybody's on the injury report.
Sir,
everybody's banged up.
You've alluded to that a million times.
I just don't understand how you can say it's not working.
What do you mean?
Injured. He's been injured.
The new routine.
This take to me is bananas. What you're saying right now.
The new routine. If it is this new normal, whatever, you got to take the player by his own judgment, as John Harbaugh said, which I do. But it is not working. It's not working on Sunday.
You don't know. He's been injured. What if he's now not injured, but just banged up like everybody in the NFL? And we're going to see Lamar as a banged up Lamar, but not an injured Lamar. And he gets out on the field with a day off. We haven't seen this. You're acting like we have. This is new. That's why we're talking about it.
It is definitely new from a labeling standpoint. What I'm telling you is I'm not buying in on that it's just simply rest.
Okay. So they're
That's what I'm saying.
you're
I think
saying
it
they're
easily-
lying?
I think
Are
it
you saying
easily-
they're
Well, no, it's just a Lamar decision. He's telling him it's rest. It's a rest day. But my eyes tell me on game day that there are any one of lower body injuries that could very well be up there to start off the week because of the lack of zone read, lack of you name it.
Yeah.
Lack of
It just is odd to me that you're conflating the whole thing. You're like, it's not working.
I'm not conflating anything.
You
Like,
definitely are. You're acting like this is like, you definitely are. You're like, it's not working. Well, this is the first time they've done this. So how can you say it's not working?
I think we are hung up right now on NIR. That's what's confusing this topic. I don't even think it's debate. What I don't think is a
But
debate.
you saw with your own eyes. He looked physically different on I'm sure there's like banged up. Bobby, just get rid of the injury designations. Lamar Jackson versus Steelers. Lamar Jackson versus Jets. Was there not a night and day difference in his physicality and how much he could run and all of that? Just use your eyes. You don't need an injury designation.
An improvement. Absolutely an improvement.
Yes.
But
So what do
night
you
and
mean
day-
that you're saying it's not working?
Night and day
Like
for
there
me
was
is
an
too much.
injury before.
No. I'm not just talking about the physical setbacks either. That's a part of it. I've said it a million times over the last 2 weeks that I do think he's taken nice steps forward. It's been encouraging to see, especially a couple of those quarterback keepers of the right-hand side away from TJ Watt on Sunday against the Steelers. I'm with you there. Night and day.
Once we saw him, why put an injury designation then? We saw him, he looks healthy.
Well, night and day, I don't know if I'm willing to go that far. But again, everything about this offense right now is still telling me that he is far from 100%. It's not working on game day, whether it be practice, whether it be rest day, whatever it is. Missing practice is not working on game day. The polish is not there. The reads at times, the processing of the game is not there. And there have been mistakes along the way. Granted, he has shown glimpses the second half against Pittsburgh, right? When they were trying to come back from that deficit, he looked fantastic. He was fitting tight windows in to Charlie Kohler, to Zay Flowers through the air, right? There was also some mobility there, some willingness and ability to run. That's all I'm saying.
But you're not attributing it to the injuries, and that's what's mind-boggling to me. I think it's reading way too far into it. It's right in front of your face. You saw him injured. We saw the way he played. We saw how injured he was. He was gutting through it. And that's the reason why he's not playing like Lamar Jackson.
One of the reasons.
And what's the other one?
Missed practice time.
Because he's injured.
That's all a part of it. Yeah.
All right. We'll see if it's working when he's healthy and they're putting in this new routine.
Guess we will.
Yes, we will.
Coming up on Sunday, 1:00 in Cincy.